Guys, I'm here with Evan Baily. Evan, how you doing?
I'm great.
So how are you involved with the whole Sonic Boom project?
So it's been a collaborative effort, from really early on. And I work on the TV show, but work with Sonic Team and with the folks at Big Red Button who are, making the game. And also, obviously, with We Do, they're our partners on the TV series. So, some stuff we're doing on our own, and some stuff is kind of looked at and worked on as a group.
Well, how heavily does the show impact the game? Like, was the show written beforehand and the game has to follow that? Or what was the process in developing the show as opposed to the game?
So we started out independently, and then we came together. And, there was kind of a moment, because it's like you're working on something, you're kind of crafting it, you're thinking about it, and there was a moment when we came together when we were like, how's this going to go? But when we got a look at what Bob and the folks at Big Red Button were doing, we loved it. And it was like, hey, can we use that? You've actually figured out something that we haven't figured out yet. And I think from Big Red Button's side as well, there were some aspects of the series that they felt that they could kind of pick up on and make use of. I think one approach that we've taken that is different from what often happens in the industry, often you have sort of like a master PowerPoint presentation with the do's and don'ts for the characters in the world. And we didn't think that was the right approach because games are good at different things than TV's good at. The DNA of a game is play. What makes a game fun is the stuff that you get to do in it. Like the example I always give is Red Dead Redemption, has an incredibly deep, rich story and a big world, but what makes it fun is just repeatedly pressing the X button and like riding your horse through that beautiful landscape, And so like, we didn't want to impose kind of TV-like storytelling strictures on the game, and I think they didn't want to impose kind of game mechanics on the show. So we, wherever possible, we kind of found those points of commonality and tried to build one integrated universe. But we also left room for kind of each to do its own thing.
And the show will be running in the end of this year?
The show will premiere in the 2014-2015 season on Cartoon. We don't have an exact air date yet, but that's our timing.
And the voice of Sonic sounded a little different. Who's voicing him now?
Same guy, Roger Craig Smith.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, he's something new for me.
Yeah. Well, I think directionally it's a little different. It's an organic process. You kind of, different people working together for the first time, you kind of find a slightly different groove, but, the intent for us has been to make something that feels true to Sonic. And to the extent that it's different, that's just because this is a different branch of the Sonic universe. This is not better. This is, modern Sonic is over here, Sonic Boom is over here. They're just kind of two versions of the same thing.
Yeah, it feels at the same time very familiar and very different in a very interesting way.
That was really the goal. Something, sort of a phrase that people have said a lot in the process is we wanted to make something familiar but new. We wanted to really respect Sonic DNA. And make something that, fans would say, hey, these guys worked hard and got it right, but also hopefully, bring some fun new stuff to it.
And you mentioned earlier that you had played all the Sonic games I've
not played all the Sonic games. I've played many of the Sonic games. First of all, I'm not the world's greatest platform player. I'm more of like an RPG player. But we did spend a ton of time playing Sonic games. I played Sonic when it first came out for Genesis, and that was sort of a wow for me. And we went back and we replayed, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, the 2006, sort of reboot I played it on PS3, but, for those, that generation of consoles, Colors, Generations, Lost World, Sonic Adventure 2, played Sonic RPG a little. And the goal was really to try to understand what makes Sonic special, what makes this world special, why people love these characters in this world so much. And I think, we learned some stuff, but maybe not necessarily what you'd expect. Like one of the really big things that we learned is that, like the kind of the thrill of Sonic on a lot of levels is that, speed is a reward for successful platforming. Like if you hit a series of moves perfectly in rapid succession, you can build up more and more and more speed until eventually it really feels like you're flying. You can get into this incredible flow. And, and when you hit an obstacle and lose rings, that hurts, man. Like I take that personally. That makes me very, very unhappy. It's not just like you failed, it really bothers me. Like it has like real emotional impact. And so, we looked at kind of like Sonic's kind of speed and movement style, and we said, what can we take away from this that we can apply to TV? And I think kind of a big thing that we learned, and again, it's sort of a different application of the same deeper principle, but what we learned is that Sonic is, when he's moving at his fastest, there's that feeling of being slightly out of control. So like, how can you apply that from a storytelling perspective? I think on a storytelling level, how that works is Sonic is a character who's always a little bit ahead of himself. He leaps before he looks, and as a result, he gets himself into trouble. For a show like ours, what's great about that is that you get a character into a tough spot, and then you can either play that for comedy or play that for action as he has to figure out how to get himself out. So you see, there's like, I hope that people will feel like, it started with a place of deep respect for this character and his mechanics and the things that define him, but we tried to kind of take what we learned and apply it in a way that really suits what TV does well.
And speaking of TV, and speaking of all this, so since you played the games, did you also watch the old series and movies with Sonic in them?
We did a little, but we really wanted to make a fresh start, and I think the earliest series sort of had more of like a Saturday morning kind of comedic vibe. Sonic X was an arced action adventure show. What we're doing is, hopefully a hybrid of comedy and action adventure. And, it is standalone episodes. The world resets. When, an episode finishes, the world resets, and then, we sort of start fresh in the next episode so you can experience them in any order. So, we took a look, but really the goal was to do something that felt new.
Well, it definitely feels new. It definitely looks and feels like nothing we've seen before in a Sonic show. It really succeeded in that.
I hope that's a good thing.
It was a lot. It looks really good. I'm very excited about watching it. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the show or the process or anything like that?
Fantastic process. I talked about how collaborative it is. I don't want to go all Oscar speech on you before the show premieres, but, Bill Freiberger, who is showrunner along with me, is an absolute, I think, comedy genius. The show is so funny, and Bill's fingerprints are just all over it. I just marvel at how fast he is. When I pitch a joke that actually gets into the show, I'm just so thrilled that Bill liked something that I said. And we have a phenomenal director, Nathalise Rose-Siozak, based in Paris, who is really sort of, versatile and able to tack from the kind of comedic stuff to the like full-on action-adventure stuff. Sandrine is amazing. It's really a fantastic team. I'm just very excited to be part of this.
Well, we're very excited to see it.